Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Daniela Della Valle, author of Happy Weight. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. I'm really grateful.
Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Believe in yourself and believe in your message 110%. I would have to say, because people are naturally going to negate you based on their emotional bias, and they're not going to get to a place of support until you've successfully executed your book. So just no matter if you have a bad day or you really just not into it, believe in yourself 110%.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Time. You think time isn't moving fast enough because you have this grand idea in your head. So you think it'll never work, but just be patient and really just exist in the moment and understand that time passes no matter what, and it'll get there when it's meant to.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
Yeah, so I actually had a kind of a controversial topic in the nutrition industry. So I decided to fuse both the body positive and nutrition communities together. And so that was kind of a newer concept for people that wasn't really setting well with everyone. And so it was really actually kind of difficult to go through your traditional marketing strategies of Facebook ads or Instagram ads, or even just kind of like really getting out there in those traditional marketing perspectives. So I actually decided to go with guerrilla marketing in a niche community. And the community was something I had been a part of for a couple of years, and it was specifically in the nutrition realm. I was, in ancestral health. And so I had already kind of, been a part of the community through volunteering and going to the conferences and all of that type of stuff. And so I knew that I could leverage that in my own community. So I started with a vendor booth at the very first Nutritional Therapy Association conference right after I published. And it was really interesting to see how kind of like apprehensive people were to listen to the message, because they were just, nutrition seems like a one size fits all mentality. And so a year later, I actually was invited to be the keynote speaker at that conference in front of an audience of almost 1,000 people. And so it was really about just like really tapping into that community and continuing to be on social media and do public speaking, going to different conferences and having vendor booths, and really just getting people that know you really well to continue to spread the message. And it's done really well.
Well, you mentioned guerrilla marketing specifically, so could you share with our audience what you mean by that?
Yeah, so guerrilla marketing is actually the concept of more or less just beating the streets with your own voice.
Yep. Traditional
Traditional marketing is going to be through, ad space or an agent promoting you. But guerrilla marketing is you being out there with the people, talking about your message, and really getting people to buy you essentially, you and your message and what you stand for, so that they want to be a part of your product and your story.
And then what you shared with us is what you consider some of the examples of that guerrilla marketing, right? Having the vendor booths, doing the public speaking. What other tactics would be part of that?
Yeah, so I taught workshops. I made sure that I went to, other book fairs for indie authors, so that I could get to know other people that were in my space. I joined online communities, so I could talk more about my message. And then also leveraging your social media is really great as well. I truly believe in the power of either Twitter, Instagram, or even developing your own Facebook online community. Because once people are really supportive of you and the message you're trying to create, they really want to be a part of whatever it is that you're generating in terms of content after that. So it's really great for book sales if you're able to really just kind of get yourself out there. And that could be difficult for people at first trying to find your groove. But if you really believe in your message or your book or your story, just really build your brand on top of that. And then it's really easy for people to want to be a part of what you're doing.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'd like to ask you about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book? And what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
My favorite book, actually, I read for the first time when I was in elementary school, and it was The Giver by Lois Lowry. And it taught me to always trust my intuition. It's just was one of those very complicated reads that was more or less, that underlying was about just perseverance, trust yourself and your intuition, and just go for it.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote actually comes from the movie Vanilla Sky, and it's every passing minute is another chance to turn it all around. And I love this quote because it teaches us that every moment is fleeting and every moment is also a chance to reinvent yourself or step into your true power.
Excellent. Well, Danielle, I want to thank you for being a guest on this show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
The best way to get in contact with me is to go to DanielleDellaValle.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at Danielle Della Valle NTP.
Well, Danielle, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.